as endorsements, Police Benevolent Association. And the general wisdom in Durham has been that if you get any two of the main three groups that I mentioned, the People's Alliance, the Friends of Durham, Committee on the Affairs of Black People, that you'll have enough votes as a result of those endorsements to win an election.
And that was a yes to that Ms. Black only needed 3 percentage points to win the primary election, according to this poll. Is that right?
What I would say, yes, sir, that's correct, but I'd also say that the poll is not a very realistic picture of the situation in Durham in terms of elections.
And that poll was taken, according to this document, on March 27, 2006, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that is the precise day that you began making statements to the media in the Duke Lacrosse cases, correct?
Yes, sir, it is. It's also well before the time that any of these committees do their endorsements.
All right. Now, when you became the district attorney, you almost immediately fired Freda Black. Is that correct?
Well, that is a personnel matter. Officially, Ms. Black resigned.
You took over the office, and the next day, Ms. Black did not have a job. Is that correct? She was no longer employed in the Durham District Attorney's office the day after you took office.
She was officially employed in the Durham District Attorney's office until the end of the month of May. She was paid through the end of the month of May. She did not come to work after the Friday following my appointment.
Mr. Nifong, I believe you're going to have to speak up.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Alexander has trouble seeing you when you lean back too far.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
And so, shortly after you took office, Ms. Black was no longer in the Durham District Attorney's office, correct?
It is correct that she was no longer in the office.
And that was your decision?
Yes, sir.
And you have worked in the Durham District Attorney's office for 28 years. Roughly 28 years.
A little longer than that. 28 years and 7 or 8 months.
28 plus years.
Yes, sir.
And that's the only place you have ever worked as an attorney, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you knew if Ms. Black prevailed in the primary election, you wouldn't have a job after the election was over, correct?
Well,
in the Durham District Attorney's office.
I knew that if Ms. Black prevailed in that election, I wouldn't want a job in the District Attorney's office.
And so if you lost the primary, you essentially would have been out of the only job in which you had had an office as an attorney, correct?
Yes, sir. That's going to be happening after this hearing anyway, but yes, sir.
And during the election, you and your wife loaned a significant amount of money to your campaign.
I don't know how to answer that precisely. I loaned $5,000 specifically to my campaign. I wrote a check to my campaign and delivered that to my campaign treasurer, Ed Palumbo. My wife, her loans, as they are called, had to do with the fact that when we had expenses like having signs done and paying for advertising, she put them on a credit card, her credit card, and those expenses were charged to the credit card, and then she gave the receipts to the treasurer, and he repaid her the receipts from the money that was raised by the campaign. So technically it's listed as a loan, but it's not a loan in the sense that I give you $10,000 and hope that you pay it back. Mine was a loan like that, which, by the way, I didn't get back. But hers were just use of a credit card that she did get reimbursement for the most part.
And you're aware that as a candidate for public office, you have to file disclosure reports of your campaign finances.
Yes, sir, that's true.
And if you'll look at Exhibit 18, please.
I don't seem to have an Exhibit 18. I have a
based on relevance
divider, but I don't have a.
Hold on. I don't have an Exhibit 18 either.
I believe these were some of the ones we said weren't going to be in here.
They haven't been admitted yet. I mean, this is cross-examination, so we haven't offered them into evidence yet.
Well, no, I don't have an Exhibit 18 in my book.
Yeah, it's not, because that was objected to originally, and I'm objecting again based upon the grounds of relevance. To the issues that are before the State Bar Committee related to intentional misconduct related to the handlings of the DNA and all that other stuff that is out there that I went over on my motion for a directed verdict. I don't see how it's relevant.
I think I got to see it to rule on whether it's relevant.
We're getting it.
What? Okay.
Sorry.
You want to move on to something else
Yes.
while we do that?
I'm glad to do that. Now, in your testimony beginning the hearing this morning, you said that at the initial investigation that the only people who had been implicated were Duke lacrosse players, correct?
I said that the information we got from the players was that all the people at the party were Duke lacrosse players, if that's what you're referring to.
And that was the basis for saying that the universe of people who could have been involved were Duke lacrosse players.
The universe that we were aware of at the time.
And you were aware that the players had made statements listing out the people.
Yes, sir. I was aware that each player made a list of people, that not all the lists contained the same people, and that there were some people that were not on any list. Yes, sir.
And you said this morning that you had those statements. They had been provided to you by the police officers, correct?
They had them when they came to talk to me about them. Yes, sir.
And would you look at Exhibit 12A, please?
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize that as the voluntary written statement from David Evans?
12A.
I'm sorry.
My 12A seems to be Matthew Zash.
Yeah, I apologize. 12B. You see that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you flip to the last two pages, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that was a statement that Mr. Evans gave on the night of the 16th or the morning of the 17th after the search warrant, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he lists out on the last two pages, these are the people I know were at the party on March 13th, 2006. You see that statement?
Yes, sir, I do.
And then if you go about a third of the way down, he lists a gentleman, I won't call out his name, but he writes in parentheses their neighbor.
Yes, sir, he does.
And then if you go over to the second page, on the very top, there's another person there that says neighbor, correct?
Yes, sir, it does.
And then he's got another person about half of the way down who's listed as a neighbor. You see that?
Yes, sir.
And then but beside that, he's put plus 2-3 fraternity guys, and then he has a name there, Blake.
And Blake was one of the people that was identified. Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir, it does.
So from the very beginning of the investigation, you knew that not all the people at that party were Duke lacrosse players, correct?
Well, the officers told me that they believed that not all the people at the party were lacrosse players. I don't know that they specifically pointed out these names on the list, but I mean, I certainly was aware that there was a suspicion that there were more people than Duke lacrosse players here. Yes, sir.
Well, you said this morning that you actually got the statements.
I did get the statements.
Okay. So, and these were in the statements?
They were in the statements.
So you would have known that there were people other than Duke lacrosse players at the party from the very beginning when you got involved.
If I had carefully read the statements and had remembered all those the designations, I would have, sir. Yes, sir.
So you didn't read the statements.
I don't believe that's correct. I believe that I did read the statements, but I obviously either did not recall or did not notice that were people other than lacrosse players listed.
So the statement this morning was not accurate, correct? All the peoples initially were not identified as lacrosse players.
To the extent that I made that statement, that would not be correct according to this. Yes, sir.
And you talked about the photographic procedure that you directed the police to conduct on March